I will tell you one thing, he has one hell of a good marriage going.
My wife, Karen, she's really sorry she couldn't be with us today. She already had dinner plans.
Well, it all started with a Washington Post profile of Vice President Pence's wife, Karen Pence, which he was alluding to, the vice president. It said this in part. In 2000, Mike Pence told The Hill that he never eats alone with a woman other than his wife, and that he will not attend events featuring alcohol without her by his side either. Critics called this sexist. Others defended him. One woman who worked for him in Congress wrote, quote, "Pence's personal decision to not dine alone with female staffers was never a hindrance to my ability to do my job well and never kept me from reaping the rewards of my work," end quote. Which brings us to our fourth and final question of the day. Do you agree or disagree with this one? Vice President Pence's rule of never eating alone with a woman who is not his wife, that's a good idea. Here with us to discuss it, Liz Plank, Vox.com senior correspondent. Straight to the question here, Liz. Is it sexist?
Yes, but I think it's a different kind of sexism that we're used to seeing. I mean, we have two men in the White House. One has bragged about grabbing women and sexually assaulting women, and the other one says that he doesn't want to eat alone with a woman. And I think that that is not sort of the traditional hostile kind of sexism that Donald Trump has exhibited in the past, but it's benevolent sexism. It almost comes off as a compliment or as something that's positive, but it's sexism with a wink. It's sexism with a smile. It's still basically saying that women and men are different and that women should be or can be excluded from very important parts of society because they are women.
Would it be different if he was in, and he's not in a sales position specifically, let's just say, but let's say he worked in sales for a large tech company and he had to go out to dinner, and this was part of what he did day to day. Would that be different if he held such a policy that this would be like, you can't do it?
Right. I mean, imagine if he was a woman. Could a woman, could I do that if I was in that position? Exclude men
from any gender, to exclude any gender.
Exactly. So it's wrong, and it's not something that women can do, and obviously it's also a reflection, I think, of the antiquated way and the antiquated view that a lot of members of the GOP have of women. If you look at the way that Mike Pence and Donald Trump have conducted themselves in the White House, you know, signing executive orders restricting women's reproductive rights without a woman in the room, restricting access to very important services for women.
That's a good point made. By itself, it may be, yeah, you can have that rule, and you can be a feminist, and you can do your job well, but amongst everything around that's been happening with this administration, it fits in with a bad thematic, is what you're saying, a bad narrative.
Absolutely. I mean, where are the women in this administration? There are some, obviously, but there's not a lot. And it's one of the most white and male administrations that we've seen in a very, very long time. And so are we going forward or are we going backwards?
I can see where across the generational lines, those who are younger would go, I don't quite get this.
Right.
Because it's very different when it those who are having the younger perspective on the way equality might or might not exist.
And Republicans need those young voters.
So do the Democrats.
Yeah.
Liz, thank you so much. Liz Plank with Vox.com.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Still time to weigh in on our final pulse question. Agree or disagree? Vice President Pence's rule of never eating alone with a woman who is not his wife. Good idea? The results next.